Yo, 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 what it do? What it be? Y'all, it's your boy, A-N-T, repping the game gang. You know we don't play none of that shit, all that shit. And if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe and leave a like. Turn on notifications so you don't miss none of the hot content I got dropping. With that being said, let's get right into it. We got the start of another new series today, and this is the greatest debates of all time. And so, I figured I would start this series off with a list that shouldn't have a lot of room for debate, being that the forward pass in football wasn't prominent until the 1960s. So before we get into the greatest quarterbacks from the 60s and beyond, I want to take a look at some of the quarterbacks who pioneered the forward pass and built the foundation for what the position is today. So we're going to talk about 7 quarterbacks who played pre-1960. And I'll get into the honorable mentions first, and why they don't make the list, and why I wouldn't be mad if they're on yours or anybody else's. So then I'll get into the 5 GOATs, which you could put in any order. These are the 5 greatest pioneer quarterbacks in my opinion. And again, a lot of these guys' stats are well below subpar compared to quarterback numbers today. But the impact each of these guys left on the game, it goes deeper than numbers. It goes deeper than stats. For example, the first guy that deserves an honorable mention has under 100 touchdowns, but his image, in a way, cemented the quarterback position as a superstar, position in sports. And I'm talking about Bob Waterfield. Now, Waterfield doesn't make my list of GOAT pioneer quarterbacks based on his lackluster stats compared to the other guys that I'm going to mention on this list. And that's really saying something because, as I just alluded to, compared to what we see today, the guys' numbers on this list are very pedestrian level. But Waterfield is the only guy on this list that has less than 100 touchdowns. He has 97 TDs, and he has more than 100 picks, 128. Terrible ratio. Plus, he only had an 8-year career, and his last 2 were spent splitting time with Norm Van Brocklin. So he doesn't really have the stats or the longevity to be a GOAT to me. But Bobby Aquafina, little nickname I gave him, shout out. But Bobby Aquafina definitely left his mark on the quarterback position, as he was drafted by the Cleveland Rams, who, they would relocate the following season in 46 to LA. And yes, these are the same LA Rams that we know today. They went from Cleveland to LA to St. Louis, back to LA. He was drafted by the Cleveland Rams in 1945 and basically won them their first NFL championship. It really wasn't called the Super Bowl yet, but he won it almost single-handedly as both the quarterback and the punter, defeating Sammy Baugh, who I'll get to on this list later on, and what is now known as the Washington Commanders. And he ran away with the MVP that season, so Waterfield definitely deserves his flowers with his accolades on the gridiron. Plus, he also brought a level of flair to the quarterback position that wasn't really seen yet, as he was married to model, actress, and his high school sweetheart, Jane Russell, who was definitely quite the looker in her era. No cap, she was a Hollywood starlet, so kind of like a Tony Romo, Jessica Simpson, except she actually had talent and he actually won shit. So in a sense, Bob Waterfield's image and success made him the poster boy for what a quarterback was supposed to look like, and brought a sense of celebrity to the position. And with guys like Waterfield and the others I'm going to mention on this list, the quarterback position was set to be not only what you could build a great team around, but it was also the face of your franchise, is what it was looking like. So next on the honorable mentions, we have Benny Friedman, who revolutionized football with the forward pass. And while he is looked at as a forefather to the passing game we have today, I scoured the internet, and unfortunately, I have to report that in my research, I found inconsistencies and missing information on Friedman, as he literally played in the 1920s when passing in football wasn't even a thing. Football wasn't really a prominent sport, so they didn't know or didn't do a good job of tracking stats, kind of like how Deacon Jones' number of sacks is going to be unknown because he invented the term sack, and sacks weren't a tracked stat until 1982. But I digress. So while Freedman's official stats are in question, what can't be questioned is his contributions to throwing the pigskin instead of running. Even though he never won a championship, he was voted All-Pro every year of his career, and it's clear that he was someone ahead of his time. So now that we got our honorable mentions out of the way, let's talk about the 5 greatest quarterbacks pre-1960 to play football. And these can be put in any order. I wouldn't be mad, but here's my 5, starting at 5, and I'll explain why they aren't higher on my list. So at 5, we got Norm Van Brocklin, who I mentioned earlier. And even though he didn't have the flair that Bob Waterfield brought to the game, Van Brocklin had better numbers, a longer career, and just as much success as Bob Waterfield, right? Granted, he had to split time with Waterfield for 2 years, like I said. Norm Van Brocklin trumps Waterfield in every stat. More yards, more touchdowns, a better passer rating, all that. Same amount of rings and MVPs too, so Norm edged him out for that number 5 spot. That's really what it was. I had to look at them both because one of them had to be an honorable mention. One of them had to make the list. Benny Friedman was, of course, going to make the list since he was revolutionary. But Van Brocklin and Waterfield, their careers are kind of intertwined, so it was just picking the better of the two. And like I said, Van Brocklin edged him out in the stats. But for the 4th spot, I got Sid Luckman, who actually, he doesn't have more yards or touchdowns than Norm Van Brocklin, which I attribute that to Luckman beginning his career in 1939 as opposed to 45 and then later on like Waterfield and Van Brocklin. Luckman, despite not having the numbers, he has just as good as a passer rating as Van Brocklin. Literally, I think Van Brocklin has a 0.1. I think Luckman is a 75, Van Brocklin has a 75.1. And Luckman also has a better touchdown interception ratio. And he was the first positive touchdown interception ratio on the list. 137, 132. Plus he won 4 NFL championships and played his whole career for the Chicago Bears. So with his success and overall efficiency in the precursor days of throwing the football, that lands him at number 4. But this next guy, he really broke the mold, because at number 3 we got Slingin' Sammy Baugh, who won 2 NFL championships. And yes, Bob Waterfield beat him in an NFL championship, but despite not winning any MVPs either, Sammy Baugh played, 16 seasons for what is now the Washington Commanders. He retired with more touchdowns than Norm Van Brocklin. Not more yards, and really the big reason he's ahead of Norm slightly is his longevity and not having to split time with another Hall of Famer. But that's just my criteria. Yeah, he doesn't have the stats, but he definitely has the success. He won championships. Never won an MVP. Might be a dig. You might maybe put him lower, but again, I wouldn't be mad. But these last 2 guys really set themselves apart. Like, these 2 are top tier in terms of showing the evolution of the quarterback position and how fast the game changed and how it was played. So without further ado, number 2 on my Pioneer GOAT quarterbacks list is Otto Graham, who was drafted in 1946 by the Cleveland Browns, who are now the Ravens. He played his entire 10-year career there, and this guy was just putting up numbers on the scoreboard and the stat sheet. Him and Paul Brown were basically Brady and Belichick in the 40s, except Graham's wife wasn't a model or nothing like that. But he won 3 NFL championships and 3 MVPs. He also has the best QBR on this list. He almost had more yards than Van Brocklin, but he's less than 50 yards away, so getting close. Plus, he had 1 more touchdown. He had 174. Van Brocklin had 173. And he also had a way better TD interception ratio. So despite not having a hot model wife, Otto Graham's efficiency throwing the football, his MVPs and championships in the same era as Van Brocklin, Waterfield, and Luckman in their primes, tell me that this guy was different. It also may have helped that his coach invented the T or the I formation. That is, of course, still a staple in today's football. So, I mean, him and his coach were just really ahead of their times, and nobody could stop him. Is that his fault? No, but that's why he number 2 on the list. I mean, he was getting it done. And so now, it's the moment of truth. The number 1 GOAT, pioneer, quarterback, is, of course, none other than Johnny Unitas. I mean, if it's anyone else, I would need serious convincing. I mean, Otto Graham played 10 years, had a stellar career, until he retired in, I think it was 55. And then a kid named Johnny U entered the league that same year. And after that, he broke every record that stood. He was the face of the NFL. And, you know, as they moved towards the merger with the AFL, he won a Super Bowl and 3 NFL championships and 3 MVPs. You know, and really put the finishing and polishing touches on making football a must-watch game, as everyone wanted to see their favorite quarterback orchestrate their offense and lead their team to victory, like Johnny U. And a lot of quarterbacks grew up, you know, from the 70s and 80s. Oh, they knew about Johnny U. Like, Johnny U's record stood all the way up until, I think, Drew Brees broke one of his records, I think, in like 2009, when he was on, you know, his legendary, one of the two, 2009 through 2011. Drew Brees broke Johnny Unitas' streak. He was on, like, I believe the streak, and I could be wrong, but I believe the streak was 56 games in a row. That Johnny Unitas threw a touchdown. And nobody ever thought that streak would be broken until Drew Brees did that shit. It was on some, you know, the points kind of record. It was a record that no one ever thought would be broken. That's how good Johnny U was. You know, it's not like it was just a different game back then or whatever. No, you just had to throw a touchdown. Think about that. Even after that, almost 50 years after Johnny U, he still had, you know, records that were standing after everything else had been shattered. Now, if you agree with my list, go ahead and leave a like. If you didn't, maybe leave a dislike, you know. Maybe explain why you don't like my list. Keep in mind, my criteria was really quarterbacks who played pre-1960 or played a majority of their career pre-1960. Johnny U played a little bit in the 60s. That's why how he got the Super Bowl, but he played a majority of his career in the 50s. Keep him 3 MVPs and 3 NFL championships in the 50s, and spun the block in the 60s one time for the bowl. And that Super Bowl is still, you know what they call that, right? They call it the greatest game ever played, son. Like, that's legend shit. Otto Graham ain't got a game like that. Bob Butterfield ain't got no game where it's the greatest game of all time. No, none of that. Johnny, you definitely the GOAT of the pioneer quarterbacks. And so next time I'll do the GOAT of the 1960s. I'm going through decade by decade. And then at the end of the season, y'all got to stay tuned. I'm going to do that controversial greatest quarterbacks of all time list. It's going to be 10 slots max. I've already decided on how I'm going to do it. There's going to be 5 honorable mentions. And then there's going to be the top 5. So 10 slots. Again, put them in any order you want. I'm going to put them in my order. And then we'll see how that go. But again, if you liked it, leave a like. Maybe explain in the comments what you liked or disliked about it. And all that. Subscribe and turn on the notifications so you can stay tuned on all the hot content I got dropping soon. Y'all be safe. It's been your boy, Agent. Oh, damn, I'm not even an agent no more. But it's been your boy, A.N.T. repping the game gang. You know we don't play none of that. All of that. Be safe. Don't get smoked. I'm out. I'm just about out. Got 3 minutes left. Again, about to just go on a little ramble. I've been playing this. You see, I'm out here going crazy with the Elden Ring. Dropping these motherfucking bosses. These big, tall motherfuckers. also hopping on Hogwarts and doing shit like that. I'm gonna drop this video and a live stream in the same damn night. But so y'all stay tuned for that. Got a lot of. I was supposed to do Throwback Thursday. I missed out on it this week, but it's cool. It's cool. I'm gonna get back to it. I just, man, I gotta vent. I'm gonna definitely vent on this next stream. So y'all stay tuned for that. I might leave a link to it in the description after I drop it and stream it. I might stream it on here or on Twitch. I can't even decide right now, but it's all good. Stay tuned. Like I said, over here. I mean, I'm going crazy in this. I'm really just exploring the map. I'm using one character to kind of just explore the map and die and get my bearings on how to play this game. Then I got another one where I'm actually going to take it seriously and, you know, use a guide and take notes and all that. So I'm not going to stream it because this game is just too long and nobody wants to see me die 30 times, I'm sure. At least I don't. I don't want to see myself die 30 times. That's really what it is. So, yeah, I might stream some Hogwarts or something because I thought it's really more linear than I thought it would be, but it's so massive. So I don't know if anybody wants to see me fucking ride a broom, pause for fucking, 15 minutes and shit while I'm trying to go to the next town. So, I'm over here getting clapped up. Oh yeah, these guys over here. Yeah, they wouldn't leave me the fuck alone. Yeah, let me go ahead and, oh yep, get my big shield out. You feel me? But yeah, I'm on this. Doing Throwback Thursday with the Uncharted series. I'm gonna hop back on that probably. I might do it tonight. That's what I'll be streaming, but yeah, I might put the disclaimer in. If you're here to watch cinematic gameplay, no, I'm about to fucking rant. That's probably what I'm gonna do. But y'all stay tuned for that. Again, have a good week, month, whenever y'all seeing this. Have a great day. All that. Good night. Be safe again. And I'm out. Peace.